You did everything right. You texted back fast. You were easy to be around. You made room for him whenever he wanted it, and somewhere along the way he stopped reaching for you the way he used to. The conversations got shorter. He took longer to answer. And the worst part is that you can feel yourself slowly becoming the one who cares more, the one who double texts, the one who waits. You swore you'd never be her again, and here you are. I want to tell you what's happening inside his head, because it has almost nothing to do with you not being enough, and has almost everything to do with 6 things that flip a man from comfortable to completely obsessed, and most women switch them off without ever realizing they did it. I'm Brooke Sullivan, founder of Dark Femme Secrets and an attraction psychology researcher. I've spent years studying why some women get pursued, protected, and chosen, while others get taken for granted by men who seemed crazy about them a month earlier. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 6 triggers that pull a man's attention back onto you, and hold it there, and you'll see which ones you've been turning off without knowing. Before we get into it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. One thing you need to know before we start: none of this is about becoming cold or cruel or playing some character that isn't you. It's about understanding how a man's attention works, so you stop accidentally working against yourself. The first trigger is what I call the detachment shock. Think about the last time a man got comfortable with you. You were available. You were sweet. You answered every message like it was the most important thing in your day. He could predict you down to the minute, and the second a man can fully predict you, his brain files you under safe and stops paying real attention. The detachment shock is what happens when you go from that steady, constant attention to a calm, graceful distance he didn't see coming. You're not angry. You don't announce anything. You just pull your focus back into your own life and let your replies breathe a little. To him, it lands like a small jolt, because the supply he counted on is suddenly not guaranteed. His brain snaps awake and starts asking what changed. That single drop in predictability does more work than 100 long paragraphs ever could, and it costs you nothing but the willingness to stop overgiving. The second trigger is the scarcity loop. People want what they can't have on demand, and that includes you. When you respond to everything in seconds, you teach him that your attention has no ceiling, so there's no reason for him to treat it like it's worth anything. When there's a small, natural gap before you reach back, you create something closer to a wait list. He has to wait a beat to get to you, and the waiting makes the reward feel bigger when it finally arrives. This is not about playing games with a stopwatch or leaving him on read to prove a point. It's about building a life so full that you are not sitting on your phone waiting to be chosen. When your life is genuinely busy, the gap takes care of itself, and his interest climbs to fill the space you stopped rushing to close. The third trigger is the losing you paradox. A man doesn't value what he believes he already owns. As long as his gut tells him you'll be there no matter how little he offers, his ego settles into a comfort zone and he coasts. He only wakes up when some part of him senses he could lose you for real. Not through threats, not through ultimatums or dramatic speeches, through the slow realization that your world keeps turning with or without him, and that your patience has a limit he hasn't seen yet. The instant a man feels you might slip out of reach, the woman he ignored last week becomes the woman he cannot stop thinking about. The thing he took for granted turns into the thing he's afraid to lose. And that fear is where pursuit is born. The fourth trigger is emotional echoing. Obsession doesn't live in the big declarations or the long, heartfelt texts. It lives in the small, intimate details that replay in his mind when you are nowhere near him. The sound of your laugh, the way you say his name when you're teasing him, the smell of you that stayed on his jacket. These are the things that loop in his head during your silence. And they are far stickier than anything you could ever type out and send. You build emotional echoing by being fully there and a little bit unforgettable when you're together, and then letting the silence do its job afterward. You don't chase the feeling with more contact. You let the details you left behind keep talking to him long after you've gone home, because they will. The fifth trigger is identity distortion. When you step back, a man is forced into the one thing most men avoid at all costs, which is honest self-reflection. In the space your absence creates, he starts to turn the questions on himself. He wonders if he got lazy with you. He wonders if he took you for granted. He wonders if he just watched the best thing he had walk out the door because he assumed she would always be there, waiting. You don't have to say a single word for any of this to happen. Your absence becomes a mirror, and what he sees in it is every place he came up short. That discomfort is the real engine of obsession, because the human mind cannot leave an open question alone. He will keep circling it, and every time he circles it, he circles back to you. The sixth trigger is replacement anxiety. There's a world of difference between a woman who pulls back and falls apart and a woman who pulls back and finds her peace. When you withdraw and crumble, you hand him proof of his power over you, and that proof relaxes him. When you withdraw and become peacefully happy, living your life and glowing without him in it, you trigger a fear he cannot reason his way out of. If you are this content without him, then another man could step into that life with almost no effort. Nothing rattles a man like the picture of being replaced by someone who would treasure exactly what he overlooked. You never have to mention another man or play one off against him. Your own contentment plants the thought entirely on its own, and his imagination does the rest of the damage for you. So look at those six again. The detachment shock, the scarcity loop, the losing you paradox, emotional echoing, identity distortion, replacement anxiety. Every one of them comes back to the same truth, which is that a man's obsession is built on what he's afraid he might lose, not on how much you pour into him. The women who get chased are not doing more than you. In most cases, they are doing far less of the things that switch his attention off, and far more of the things that keep him reaching for you. You have probably been working twice as hard for half the result. And now, you can see exactly why. Here's the part that matters most. Knowing these 6 triggers exist is one thing. Knowing the exact words, the timing, and the lines to use when he goes cold, the moves that pull him back without ever costing you your dignity, that is something else entirely. There's a real difference between understanding the psychology and being able to run it in your own life with a man you actually want. If you want to know exactly how to use this, I put everything you need to know inside the Obsession Code. Just hit the link in the description to learn more.